UWP apps run on a wide range of devices with varied form factors. To give the best experience, your app should adapt to the device that it's running on. And there's three aspects of this: UI, platform, and version. We're going to talk about platform and version in this course. Platform we'll do right now, and then version we'll do later. Remember that a UWP app has a core set of APIs available to it that are everywhere. So no matter what device they're running on, there's always that same core set. In addition, though, they may have other APIs available depending on the platform, the device that they're actually running on. Suppose we were doing an app that recorded a user's expenses. If our app is running on a desktop, we could offer the scanner to the user as an option for getting the receipts into the app, because the scanner API is available when we're running on desktop. If our app is running on mobile, though, the scanner API isn't supported, so we could fall back on other behavior. Perhaps we could use the camera instead. And this is the core idea behind what we mean by platform adaptive. We take advantage of these extra APIs, like the scanner API, on platforms where they're available. Let's be a little bit more formal about how this works. So the APIs are partitioned. Each grouping is actually called a contract. The universal contract is the one that has the stuff that's available everywhere, and then the rest of those are more specialized. This isn't the complete list, by the way. There's a bunch more. You can see MSDN. Let's look at one of these, calls phone. Calls phone is an example of an API contract, which means it's a group of related APIs that give you some piece of functionality, related functionality. So in this case, the ability to manage phone calls. Again, remember the big picture here. We have a set of APIs that are available everywhere, and then more specialized ones that are platform or device type specific. The ones that are available everywhere are called the Universal API Contract. And the vast majority of the UWP APIs are actually in the Universal Contract. You can also use a subset of the .NET APIs called .NET for UWP. Technically, those aren't part of the universal contract. However, they are available everywhere. Let's be more formal now about what we mean when we say things like if your app is running on desktop or on mobile. Windows partitions all the available devices into groups that have the same APIs available. And these are called device families. For example, something in the desktop device family would be something like Surface Studio, Surface Book, Surface Pro, and so on. Mobile, Xbox, HoloLens, Internet of Things with or without a UI, and then Team is something like Surface Hub. Each device within a family has exactly the same set of APIs available to it. In fact, that's what defines a device family. So the formal definition is a device family is a collection of API contracts. Each device family is identified using a string. There's the list of strings. We'll see where we use those in just a moment. Here's a quick graphic to explain the idea. This is the same thing we just discussed, like what is a device family. So here the example is we have mobile. The mobile device family consists of those devices that support the Universal API contract, the calls phone API contract, dual SIM tile, and a few more, but not the scanner device contract and so on. So again, a device family is a collection of the API contracts that it supports. So if you're running on any device in the mobile device family, you can be guaranteed that you have these contracts available to you. If you're developing a Windows 10 app, you get to choose which device families your app runs on. For example, if you were doing a game, you might choose those families. If you were doing a development tool, perhaps those would be appropriate. And then something in the Internet of Things space would probably just target those two. The basic idea is you'd like to support as many different families as you can in order to maximize your market size. However, you'd like to make sure that you can provide a good experience on every platform that you do support. Once you've decided which families you'd like to target, you specify that in your app's manifest. For each family that you want to target, you add a target device family entry to your dependencies, and then you set the name to that identifier string that we mentioned earlier. Currently, there's no GUI to do this. You hand edit the XML file that's your manifest. The device families you target determine which devices the store will offer your app to. So for example, here we target mobile and desktop, so users that go to the store with those kind of devices will be offered your app for installation. If your app is truly universal, that is, if it makes sense for it to run across every Windows 10 device, then you target the universal device family, and your app can be installed on everything. Now we have enough background to get back to our main goal. The core thing that we're trying to do here is adaptively use APIs when we're running on different device family members. Suppose we have an app that targets both desktop and mobile. There's sort of three cases we need to consider. Using universal APIs, using APIs that are available on all the device families that we target, not necessarily part of the universal, but there are API contracts that are part of both mobile and desktop, but not universal. And finally, using APIs that are exclusive to one of our device families like mobile. So the first step in using these device family specific APIs is using something called an extension SDK. The extension SDK collects together all the APIs for some device family. So this example here shows the extension SDK for the mobile family. So the mobile family supports the calls phone contract, dual SIM tile contract, wallet contract, and so on. In your app inside Visual Studio, you need to reference the extension SDK for those APIs that you want to use. So you go to the extension section, and then you find the ones you're interested in. So for example, in our app, we're targeting the desktop and mobile families, so we would reference both the desktop and mobile extension SDKs. And you generally will have more than one version here. These version numbers here actually correspond to Windows version numbers, which is something we'll talk about later in the course.